Well, now it's time for a look at the day's top business news. And with me now is Brian Quinn. Brian, France 24's business editor here with the latest. Now, let's start with, of course, that strike by British Airways.
Well, Julia, nearly 1,600 British Airways flights are cancelled Monday, with planes likely to remain grounded tomorrow. The airline's 4,300 pilots have been locked in a 9-month dispute with management over pay. In July, pilots rejected an 11.5% increase spread out over 3 years. Pilots say they've stuck with the airline through recent hard times. Now that profits are up some 9% last year, they want a share of the good times as well. The 48-hour strike is expected to cost British Airways up to £40 million per day. And next, the U.S.-China trade war is taking a measurable toll on Chinese exports. New data shows them falling by a full % in August, missing analyst expectations. Experts had expected importers to stock up on Chinese goods ahead of the latest hike in U.S. tariffs taking effect September 1st. China's trade surplus took a big dive in August as well. Customs officials trying to put a positive spin on those latest figures as Beijing shifts its focus to the domestic economy.
Trade growth slowed down in the current international economy, but the export and import of our country has been showing strong resilience, with monthly import and export exceeding 2.5 trillion yuan for 5 consecutive months.
Saudi Arabia has announced a shakeup at the top of its oil industry. Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih removed from his post in favor of Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman. He's half-brother of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Members of the Saudi ruling family are usually not appointed to lead the energy ministry. The move comes as the Saudis prepare to launch a public stock offering for state oil firm Saudi Aramco. It also comes as global trade conflicts are hitting demand, with the OPEC cartel struggling to keep crude prices afloat amid persistent supply gluts. Crude prices are up around 1% as OPEC oil ministers are considering new supply cuts at their meeting next week. Take a listen.
First question, there are other concerns that are outside the supply and demand affecting us. But I wouldn't say that we are limited to anything. Anything that the group sees that it will balance the market, we are committed to discuss it and hopefully go and do whatever necessary to do.
Checking in on the equities markets now. Asian indexes mostly on the rise in Monday trade, despite that Chinese trade data. The Nikkei in Tokyo finishing the day up just over 0.5% as new figures show the Japanese economy growing a bit slower than expected. Similar results for the Kospi in Seoul. Chinese indexes on the rise as well. Shanghai up around 0.8%. Hong Kong just north of the flat line. European indexes opened higher as investors look to weak economic data worldwide as a sign of potential incoming stimulus measures. London's FTSE 100 up 0.5%. CAC 40 here in Paris up around 0.1%. The Frankfurt DAX is up just under 0.25% at the open. Well, finally, for business, if you're looking to buy a home in France, you've likely seen some eye-popping asking prices lately. Real estate is soaring in the country, with average prices up 10% in the past few months alone. With interest rates staying near historic lows, some are beginning to ask if it could be a bubble. Shirley Sitbon has the details.
Paris is regularly cited as one of the most expensive cities in the world, and buying a home there has turned even more costly this year. At 10,115 euros per square meter in old apartment buildings, housing is 56% more expensive than 10 years ago. Paris is not alone. Prices have soared in cities across the country, like in Marseille, where residents invest a little extra to purchase homes in old buildings.
More buyers are looking for homes, but there aren't as many houses to buy. It's the old rule of supply and demand, and since buyers are earning more, our prices have slightly increased.
In Rennes, an hour and a half away from Paris by train, prices have jumped by 10% over the past year.
It's cheaper to buy a home than to rent one because interest rates are so low.
Is homeowning a safe investment? After years of rising, can prices drop?
If interest rates increase, real estate prices drop. If one-day homeowners face difficulties, lose their jobs and can no longer pay the bank, they'll have to sell their homes. But if its value has dropped, they won't be able to cover their loan. That's a risk.
Projections, though, say interest rates should remain low in coming months.
I don't know about the purchase prices. I can't tell you my rent keeps going up, Julia. I'm sure I'll be ready to buy right when those interest rates shoot back up.
Exactly. As soon as the bubble bursts, that's when we'll buy. Thanks, Brian. All right. Well, that was your roundup of the latest business news.